Now it is done. Okay, now I'll make you a co-host. अरहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर चोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। So we were discussing Ashtapahud by Kunkundacharya Dev. It's a collection of 8 different scriptures, all related to the discipline that a monk has to follow. And here we see the role of Kunkund Acharya as more of an administrator, showing strict controls over the conduct of a monk. So we have discussed so far 4 Pahud. Now we were discussing Bhav Pahud. So as the name suggests, Bhav Pahud is primarily dealing with the disposition of the soul. So the disposition of the soul is very important, and based on that the scripture of Bhav Pahud has been written, and we were on to page number 13. Page number 13. Yeah, you can go ahead and go to page number 13. Yes. So we started off with Dansan Pahud, then we did Sutra Pahud, then we did Charitra Pahud, then Bodh Pahud, and now we are continuing with Bhav Pahud on page number 13. This is not page number 13. This is, you go further down. We are into Bodh Pahud, the next. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. This is Bhav Pahud. Now 6 pages later on. Go ahead. Go ahead. Next. These all story we discussed in the last class. Next. Yeah. Just hold on. Supporting reflections. Next. Yes. Yes, from here only. From time immemorial. Yeah. So could you please enlarge a bit if it is possible? Yes, better. Fine. So from here we begin. O monk, from the time immemorial, you have consumed sentient foods. Now, what is this sentient foods? The food which contains an element of soul are called sentient food, like roots, bulbs. So, onion, garlic are all those things that grow below the ground are all called roots, bulbs, kandmul, and water imbued with life, accompanied by impure intentions and transgressions. Okay. So from time memorial, we have consumed such kind of food without not knowing what is to be consumed and what is not to be consumed. As a result, you have wandered endlessly. Because of our ignorance, we have bound endless karmas, and because of the fruition of those karmas, we have wandered endlessly through the cycle of existence, enduring countless sufferings. Okay, so we have endured countless sufferings because soul is there since time immemorial. There is no beginning of the soul, and in this journey of wandering from one species to another species, we have been doing and enduring countless sufferings. Okay, O great one, reflecting on all these sufferings that we have experienced since time immemorial, now show the 5 types of reverence towards your teachers. Now what is this 5 types of reverence? Reverence is called Vinay. 5 types of Vinay in Hindi it is called Vinay. So what are these reverences? Uh, I'll just show you the names. It's There are these 5 types of reverence has been explained in 2 manner. The first manner, uh, whenever a monks or the teacher comes, acharyas, you have to join your hands. That is the first step of reverence. The second step is you should bow at his feet. Third, if they come, you have to stand up. You cannot still remain sitting. The fourth, you have to come in front to receive them. And the fifth, you have to talk in a very polite manner. Okay, pleasing manner. So these are the 5 types of reverences. Then there are other types of 5 reverences which are knowledge, belief, conduct, austerities, and the person who uh, holds all these kind of qualities. Okay, so these are another way of explaining the 5 types of reverence. So uh, now you have to show these 5 types of reverence towards your teacher. That is one part, and the other part is and engage in the 10 forms of service. Okay, so what are these 10 forms of service? So these are the 10 forms of service that a monk undergoes for the benefit of the monks in the segregation. So there are 10 types of names which have been uh, mentioned here, and all those names are synonymous of the monk. Okay, so in English we can't differentiate in such a manner, but in Hindi there are different words for that. So I'm just spelling out the Hindi words. Whatever you can make it, you make it. So first one is Acharya. Okay, Upadhyay. So Acharya are the leaders of the congregation. Upadhyay are the teachers in the congregation. Then the third one is Tapasvi. So all these monks do perform austerities and they are called Tapasvi. Then they are also called Shakshya. Shakshya means they are academicians. Then the fifth one is Glan. Glan refers to those monks who are not in good health, who are going through some diseases or something like that. Then the sixth one is Gan. Gan is another name for a monk, Muni. Then seventh one is Kal. Kal is another name for monk. Then we have number eight, Sang. Sang is the congregation. Then ninth we have Sadhu. Sadhu means monk. And the 10th word is Manogya. Manogya means beautiful. So all these are synonymous of a monk. Okay. So, so we have to engage. If you want to uh, if you want to come out of all these sufferings, then you have to show the 5 types of reverences towards your teachers and engage in the 10 forms of service. So 10 types of monks, so 10 forms of service. Do not hide your faults. Okay. confess them openly before your guru, okay, before your teacher. Do not hide your faults. Whatever blemishes you have done, whatever mistakes you have done, you have to confess them openly before your guru. And they will ensure that uh, you get rid of all your blemishes and perform meditation as usual as you were doing before. Okay. Endure even the harsh words of others, for it is the forgiving Muni who destroys all sins. So you have to endure even the harsh words of others. If others are using harsh words, you also use harsh words. That is not the way. Even others are using harsh words, you have to still endure it and you have to forgive them. And the one who forgives is the one who destroys all sins. Okay. So forgiveness is such a beautiful concept where you are benefiting yourself. Okay. You are getting rid of your pride and you are also getting rid of your anger. Okay. So it is benefiting you only. O forgiving Muni, with this understanding, extinguish. So this will be the next page. Yes. Yes. Extinguish the fire of accumulated anger. Just now I said the one who forgives, he is getting rid of his anger and he is also getting rid of his pride. So it's benefiting the one who is forgiver. Okay. Extinguish the fire of accumulated anger towards all beings with the water of forgiveness through mind, speech, and body. Okay. So forgiveness is going to benefit the person who is doing it. O monk, you should consider renouncing the ephemeral world. Ephemeral world means transitory world. And with pure right belief, cultivate the desire to take initiation into monkhood for the attainment of omniscient knowledge. Okay. Cultivate the desire to take initiation into monkhood. In Pravachan Sarji, at the beginning of the third chapter, which is again related to the monks only, uh, it's called Charnanyog Suchak Chulika. And in the beginning itself, the Acharya says that the one who wants to become happy, you become monk, get initiated into monkhood. Okay. So monkhood is just an tools for enjoying eternal bliss in a wholesale manner. Okay. With pure intention, adopt the external ascetic form and adhere to noble virtues. External ascetic form means you are devoid of any clothes, okay, and you adhere to your noble virtues. Contemplate on the fundamental principles of the soul, non-soul, influx, bondage, cessation of karmic influx, that is stoppage principles, with a pure mind, speech and body. So here only the 5 elements are mentioned, but you have to also include the dissociation of bondage and liberation along with that. So with a pure mind, speech and body, meditate upon the soul, because as long as you do not reflect upon the soul and other fundamental principles, which is elements, you will not attain the eternal state. O noble monk, the root cause of karmic bondage, whether sinful or meritorious, lies in one's intention and states of mind. Sinful karmic bondage arises from delusion, passions, lack of self restraint, and vibration of space points of soul, yoga. So delusion is mithyatva, passions is kashai, then lack of self-restraint is asayam, and the last one is vibration of space points of soul. It's called yoga. On the other hand, a soul free from delusion, endowed with right belief, binds meritorious karma. Thus, cultivate the intention. I am enveloped by the 8 types of karmas, including knowledge obscuring karma. So it should not be like that. I am enveloped by the 8 types of karmas, such as knowledge obscuring karma, comma, etc. All the 8 karmas you should include. I shall destroy these karmas, reveal my true nature. I shall destroy these karmas and reveal my true nature. What more can be said? Daily reflect on the distinctions and classifications of virtues conduct, and virtuous conduct means seal, and auxiliary qualities. Auxiliary qualities means uttar gun. Okay. So seal are of 18,000 types and auxiliary qualities are of 84 lakh types with focused contemplation. O monk, liberation is attained through meditation. Okay. Whoever has got liberated, they engage themselves into meditation of the pure soul, and that is how they attain liberation. So abandon Artha and Raudra meditation. Artha, Artha is sorrowful meditation and Raudra is violent or wrathful, okay, meditation. So these, out of 4 types of meditation, these 2 are inauspicious meditation, sorrowful and violent meditation. And then there are 2 auspicious meditation called adopt dharma and pure meditation. So dharma is virtuous meditation, which is possible at the 4th stage of spiritual development. And then we have pure meditation called Shukla Dhyan, which starts at the 8th stage of spiritual development. An external form of ascetic without internal purity cannot engage in dharma or pure Shukla meditation, and therefore lacks the ability to cut down the tree of worldly existence. Okay. So an external form of ascetic. Who is this external form of ascetic? Dravyalingi Muni, who has not manifested the internal purity. So a monk without internal purity is called the external ascetic form. So an external form of ascetic without internal purity cannot engage in dharma or pure Shukla meditation. Okay. In dharma meditation is dharma dhyan and Shukla dhyan. Okay. So without internal purity, you cannot engage in dharma and Shukla dhyan, and therefore lacks the ability to cut down the tree of worldly existence. Okay. So those who are not indulging in dharma and Shukla meditation, they lack the ability to cut down the tree of worldly existence. Only that monk whose mind is free from the wind of attachment and who kindles the lamp of dharma within illuminates the soul. Okay. So those monks who are free from the wind of attachment, means who are detached, who have manifested passionlessness, and who kindles the lamp of dharma within illuminates the soul. Okay. Such a monk destroys the tree of worldly existence with the axe of meditation. So meditation is a tool by which you can destroy all your karmas. Meditation is a tool which leads to liberation. Meditation is a tool for any kind of spiritual development in the path of liberation. Okay. So at some point you have to acquire the knowledge. After acquiring a certain level of knowledge, next is you have to get into meditation to concentrate on the self. And when you are concentrating on the self, that is the time you are able to uh, destroy the karmas that you have bounded in the past. Okay. Such a monk destroys the tree of worldly existence with the axe of meditation. Now, next, concentration of knowledge is meditation. Concentration of knowledge is meditation. Through meditation, the karmic tree is burned, preventing the sprouting of worldly existence. So the karmic tree is burned, okay, preventing the sprouting of worldly existence. A true ascetic with internal purity attains bliss and elevated spiritual states like Tirthankar and Gandhar. Gandhar is the chief preceptor. In contrast, an external form of ascetic without internal purity suffers and experiences misery. Therefore, understanding the distinction between virtues and flaws, strive to become a self-restrained ascetic with pure intentions. Okay. Understanding the distinctions between virtues and flaws, strive to become a self-restrained ascetic with pure intentions. Expressing reverence towards saints, the Acharya says, I bow with mind, speech and body to the ascetic who embodies right belief, right knowledge and right conduct with pure intent. A true ascetic with internal purity does not desire for the extraordinary powers. You know, riddhis, these are called riddhis. So Vishnu Kumar Muriraj had this extraordinary power, which even he was not aware that I am having such extraordinary power. These extraordinary powers are acquired while they are meditating on the self. Okay. Automatically in the outside, this kind of extraordinary powers develop. Although monk has no interest in developing those powers, and at times they are not aware of the powers also. But having said that, they nevertheless have these powers, and when the need be, they also use it if it is prompted by some other people. Because monks themselves, they don't know what kind of powers they are having. Like in the case of Vishnu Kumar Muniraj, okay. So he was not aware that he is having that power, but some celestial being informed him, and then he exercised those powers, and then he became a Brahman and went there to the court of the king and asked for three uh, three uh, 3 foots of land. And when the king granted that, he increased his body to a very giant level. And just by putting one leg, he covered the most of the universe. And then the king realized that uh, he is some high level of saint. And so he also realized his mistake, and then he bowed to the saint. So, an external form of ascetic without internal purity. Okay, this is done. Now, concentration of knowledge is meditation. That's the paragraph we were discussing. Through meditation, the previous paragraph. Yes, yes, here. A true ascetic with internal purity does not desire the extraordinary powers of being like Vidyadhars, nor does he seek the pleasures of humans or celestial beings. His soul, take it further, his soul aspiration is to attain self-realization and benefit the soul as quickly as possible. While giving guidance, the Acharya says, O revered monk, show compassion towards the beings of the 6 types of embodied forms. So 5 are one-sensed being, and one is a bracket called trus, which is mobile beings. So 5 one-sensed beings are immobile beings, and then the 2 sensed and above beings are mobile beings. Renounce the 6 improper places. Sat Anayatan, through the 3 disciplines of mind, speech, and body. Contemplate the supreme essence of pure and inherent nature, parinamic bhav, unchangeable bhav. O great one, for your own pleasures you have caused harm to countless beings, leading to your wandering through 8.4 million wombs. Therefore, now renounce this through the threshold discipline of mind, speech, and body, and grant the gift of fearlessness, Abhaidan, to all living beings. So, all the living beings are living under the stress of fear and other kinds of anxiety, and you can do this. Grant the gift of fearlessness to all living beings. O wise one, just as a serpent means snake, does not become non-venomous even after drinking milk mixed with jaggery. In the same way, an abhavya, a soul who is incapable of liberation, does not abandon its deluded intellect even after listening to the teachings of Jin Dharma, the path of the Jinas. Such a soul remains attached to false beliefs, follows a false religion, and engages in ignorant austerities, leading to a downfall into miserable state of existence and endless wandering in worldly existence. Therefore, you must abandon the path of the 363 hypocritical sects and devote your mind to the true Jin Dharma. So these 363 types of hypocritical sects, which are not the true sects, these are hypocritical sects which were introduced by Marichi during the time of Lord Adinath. Okay, so these are the 363 uh, coming on from that time. Okay. Mm. Such a role remains. Okay, so this one is done. 363 hypocritical sects. Now the next paragraph. Describing the glory of right belief, the Acharya states, just as a lifeless body in the world is called a corpse. Okay. When the living being goes away, it is called a corpse. The body is no more live. The soul has already gone. So it's a corpse. A person without right belief is a walking corpse. Okay. Without right belief, he cannot have the right decision. He cannot have the right guidance also. Okay. A person without right belief is a walking corpse. A corpse is not worthy of reverence in the world. And similarly, a person without right belief is not worthy of reference in the transcendental path, the path of those with right belief. Slightly below. Yes, transcendental path, the path of those with right belief. The distinguishing feature of both the ascetics and layperson's dharma. So ascetics are the monk and the layperson is still in the fifth stage, is a householder. And a layperson dharma lies in right belief. Just as the moon is resplendent. Resplendent means glowing splendor. Okay. Glowing splendor among a cluster of stars, and the lion shines as the king among animals. In the same way, in the path of the jinas, serene right belief and devotion to the jina, pure jinlinga of penance, vows, etc., combined with pure right belief shines brightly. Okay. So the next paragraph now. Thus, the understanding the virtues of right belief and the faults of delusion, one should embrace right belief, the essence of virtues, the jewel among qualities, and the first step towards the place of liberation with heartfelt devotion. So, this is the kind of devotion that is required to get the maximum benefit. Okay. The soul capable of liberation who follows the teachings of the jina and conducts himself accordingly destroys the four destructive karmas and attains the state of infinite fourfold qualities. Okay. So on one side you are destroying the four destructive karmas, and on the other side you are attaining the state of infinite fourfold qualities. A soul that achieves this state of infinite qualities free from karmas is referred to as Shiv, Parmesti, Sarvagna, omniscient, Vishnu, creator God, then Chaturmukh Buddha, then Atma, that is soul, Paramatma, supreme soul, and so on. So all these are synonymous of an omniscient being. The Acharya contemplates that such a being, liberated from the four destructive karmas, free from 18 flaws, and shining like a supreme lamp that illuminates the three worlds, may grant me supreme enlightenment. Okay. So, supreme enlightenment includes right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct. Just as a lotus naturally remains untouched by water, similarly, a soul with right belief is inherently untouched by sensory passions. The Acharya emphasizes that we call an ascetic only the one who possesses pure intentions and is endowed with all virtues like impeccable conduct and self-restraint. A being who dons the attire of a monk but has a mind tainted by delusion and serves as a dwelling for countless faults is not even equivalent to a lay follower. Okay, because he is still a wrong believer. Okay, whereas lay person has manifested right belief. Thus, who subdue the senses and conquer the formidable enemy of passions and the sword of forgiveness, those who cut down the pillar of sins with the blade of right conduct. Okay, so those who subdue the senses, first part. Second, conquer the formidable enemy of passions, second part. Third, with what? With the sword of forgiveness. Those who cut down the pillar of sins with the blade of right conduct. Those who sever the vine of deceit, entangled in the tree of delusion, and bearing the poisonous fruits of sensual indulgences with the weapon of knowledge. Those who are free from delusion, pride, and arrogance and are filled with compassion. Such artistic are the true, brave, and wise. Okay. So he is again discussing about the ascetics only, monk only. These munis attain the joys of Chakravarti, universal monarch. Then Navrat Narayan. Okay. Narayan, Ardha Chakri, celestial beings. Gandhars. Gandhar is the chief preceptor. And the extraordinary Charan Riddhi, power to travel through the sky. Ultimately, when they achieve complete purity, they can achieve the supreme bliss. They can achieve the supreme bliss of liberation. Go further down. Down, down. Next page. I am reading from my textbook. Yes. Of liberation, that is Ajar, no aging, Amar, immortal, and Anupam, incomparable, Uttam, superior, Atulya, matchless. Okay. So ultimately, when they achieve complete purity, they can achieve the supreme bliss of liberation, that is Ajar, no aging, Amar, immortal, Anupam, incomparable, Uttam, superior, Atulya, matchless. These are all the adjectives used for describing the nature of the soul when it gets liberated. Okay. So it is explaining the liberated soul's position. The Acharya prays that the above mentioned Lord, revered in the three worlds, pure, stainless, Niranjan, and eternally perfected, Nitya Siddh, may grant me supreme purity in right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct. So the Acharya himself is praying that the above mentioned Lord, revered in the three worlds and eternally perfected, may grant me supreme purity in right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct. So Acharya himself is asking for all these. What more needs to be said? Dharma, Artha, Kam, Moksha. Dharma here means virtue and not passionless religion. The second is artha. Artha is wealth. The third is kamma, calm. Calm is desire. And the fourth one is moksha, liberation. And all other endeavors are accomplished only when rooted in pure disposition. Okay. So all kinds of other endeavors are accomplished only when rooted in pure disposition. So much of discussion. One thing is very clear, that first you have to identify your soul and then believe that to be yourself, and then you can just check it with the Google information on this. Therefore, one must focus entirely on the purification of one's disposition. Next paragraph. Concluding the Bhav Paud, the Acharya states that the soul capable of liberation, who thoroughly reads, listens, and contemplate on the scripture as expounded by the omniscient, attains liberation, the abode of eternal bliss. So here ends the Bhav Paud. It was one of the biggest among the 8 scriptures, and now we start Moksha Paud. This is the 6th one in the sequence. Okay. So in the Bhav Paud, we have seen that the weightage was given on the disposition of the soul. All other factors were ignored, only the disposition of the soul was being highlighted. Okay. And now we are moving on to the 6th one, which is Moksha Paud. In this Paud, consisting of 106 verses, the nature of liberation and its causes is elucidated. So in Moksha Paud, detailed discussion about the path of liberation and the nature of liberation is explained in detail. The supreme state of the soul, which is the Paramatma, characterized by infinite bliss, infinite knowledge, infinite perception, and infinite energy, okay, is defined as liberation. Accordingly, the 3 forms of the soul, Bahiratma, external soul or extrovert, then Antaratma, inner soul, or what it is called. Accordingly, the 3 forms of the soul, Bahiratma, the external soul, Antaratma, inner soul, and Paramatma, supreme soul, are described. Bahiratma is to be renounced. Antaratma is to be adapted. And Paramatma, supreme nature, is to be embraced as the ultimate goal. Okay, ultimate goal for getting rid of this worldly existence. Okay, you will never get a birth in the world. Bhairatma, the external soul, only whose mind has, through the senses, deviated from the nature of the soul's form and instead identifies with the external objects, and who perceives the senses or body as the soul, is called the Bahiratma. Okay. So the Bahiratma believes that the soul and the body are one. Okay. He does not realize this truth that both are separate. Okay. Bahiratma is to be renounced, and Bahiratma is to be renounced, Antaratma, inner nature, is to be adopted, Paramatma, supreme nature, is to be embraced as the ultimate goal. Okay. Param Upade. Bahiratma, the external soul, one whose mind has, through the senses, deviated from the true nature of the soul's form and instead identifies with the external objects. Okay. Deviated from the true nature of the soul's form. Second, instead identifies with the external objects and who perceives the senses and body as the soul. Okay. So this means that he is under the influence of delusion. Perceives the senses and body as the soul is called Bahiratma. Just as this Bahiratma regards its body as the self, in the same way it considers the body of another as their soul. As a result, external association exists with the body as instrumental cause, and there is love and affection for wife, children, etc., and desires in future rebirths, association with body and wife and children, etc. Okay. So those who are doing this meditation, practicing this meditation, uh, they will soon get liberated. Now the inner soul. So when one perceives the soul as distinct from the body and other, hmm, when from here, when one perceives the soul as distinct from the body and other physical forms and recognizes it as inherently consisting of knowledge and bliss and experiences it as such, then that individual is referred to as the Antar Atma. So from the 5th stage of spiritual development to the 11th stage, okay, this is the time period for Antaratma, one who has realized himself. Okay. Paramatma, now the third one, the Supreme Soul, one who is free from the stains of material karma, Dravya karma, psychic disposition, Bhav karma, and Quasi karma. Okay. Is formless, beyond the senses, impeccable and pure in soul, is situated in the supreme state and is the supreme conqueror who has overcome all karmas. This being is benevolent and indestructible, Siddha, perfected, and has attained the realization of their virtue, nature, and has attained the state of liberation. This being is the Paramatma. So from Bahiratma, you become an Antaratma, and with further going further deep, you can become a Paramatma also. So your whole journey from mundane existence to the present day everything has been structured. Okay, to just mention and everything will be organized. By abandoning the state of the external soul and becoming the inner soul, one attains liberation by meditating upon the Supreme Soul. Describing in detail how the attainment of the supreme state of the soul, Paramatma Pad, is achieved, the text first expounds upon the duties of a monk and subsequently elucidates the duties of a householder. Okay, so the pure soul is one whose essence is exceptionally pure, whose knowledge reflects the form of all. One who is immersed in external objects and three types, Sachit, Achit and Misra, okay, is considered one with the wrong belief and is bound by the 8 types of karmas. Okay, so one who is immersed in external objects of 3 types, conscious, unconscious and mixed, is considered one with wrong belief and is bound by the 8 types of karmas. The one who is flawless and without 8 karmas is incomparable, anupam, embodiment, gyan, embodiment of knowledge, gyan sariri, indestructible. An omniscient soul is the true essence of one's own substance. One who is engrossed in this soul becomes detached from external substances. So, very simple logic that you are not engaging in 2 things at the same time. Okay, you can engage in one of the objects at a time. Okay, so keep this in mind. So now it says, one who is engrossed in this soul becomes detached from external substance and quickly destroys the karmas. Therefore, those who desire liberation should meditate on their own dravya, as this is the only means of attaining liberation. Okay. The aforementioned auspicious dispositions lead to the attainment of realms such as heaven and others. However, the one desiring liberation does not long for these, because the attainment of heaven and similar realms is possible even though physical, even through physical austerities and practices. In heaven and similar places, there is no true happiness, only momentary glimpses of pleasure. Eternal bliss is obtained solely through the medium of the soul. Next. Bas. By renouncing wrong belief, ignorance, sin, and virtue, anger, pride, deceit, greed, attachment, aversion, delusion, from the mind, speech, and body, and by adopting vow of silence. Okay. So by renouncing wrong belief, ignorance, sins, and virtue, anger, pride, deceit, greed, attachment, aversion, delusion, from the mind, speech, and body by adopting vow of silence and reflecting on the self and non-self. Okay. Meditation is achieved. Through meditation, the influx of karma is halted. There is a stoppage of karma. No new bondage occurs, and past karmas dissociate, then liberation is attained. Okay. So nevertheless, whatever you have done on ignorance, you have to pay back it in the same coin. Okay. So you should keep in mind, you should carry the change. A monk who has attained self-realization is endowed with the 5 great vows, Panch Mahavrat, then 5 restraints, that is Samiti. Samiti is also called carefulness. 5 types of carefulness. Then 3 controls, 3 guptis. Okay. And has right belief, knowledge, conduct. Okay. So a monk who has already attained self-realization, so he has already manifested right belief and right knowledge. Now he is endowed with the 5 great vows, 5 major vows. Have 5 restraints, that is carefulness. Okay. 3 controls and has right belief, knowledge, conduct. Okay. So this is also a scenario where you have manifested right knowledge, right belief, but you have to indulge in the conduct. Okay. And that it is at the only monk stage that is possible. As a householder, you cannot concentrate more deeply just like a monk. Okay. That which perceives is belief or grasping of the essence of tattva is right belief. That which comprehends is knowledge or the grasping of the essence of sat tattva, is right knowledge. The renunciation of virtue and sin is conduct. So the renunciation of virtue and sin is conduct. What is this? Renunciation of virtue and sin is conduct. Let me check it out in the Hindi. The renunciation of virtue and sin is conduct.
It must be something like पाप और पुण्य का छोड़ना ही व्यवहार है.
That is what I'm looking at. One minute. Huh? So where we were, by abandoning the state of external soul and becoming inner soul? No. By renouncing
The renunciation of virtue and sin is conduct.
where it is, okay, the renunciation of virtue and sin is conduct, 64. Okay. Let me see where it is, 62, 63. Okay. The renunciation of virtue and sin is conduct. So here I have to see 37, 42. Yes, 3. So punya आपका परिहार चारित्र है. Okay, okay. So all the 3 have been explained. The first line you can just see just take it slightly up. Yes, one line, just yeah. That which perceives is belief. Okay, so Samyak Darshan, they first explained the Samyak Darshan. That which perceives is belief or grasping of the essence of Tattva is right belief. So first they discuss right belief. Then that which comprehends is knowledge or the grasping of the essence of Tattva is right knowledge. And then right conduct is the renunciation of virtue and sin is conduct. So you are not manifesting virtue or sin, then it is the right conduct. Thus, the monk who is endowed with the 3 jewels and engages in disciplined activities of mind, speech, and body across all the 3 time periods, past, present, and future, remains free from inner defilement, okay, inner impurities, okay, salya. Inner defilement is salya. Okay. So there are 3 kinds of shalya. Maya, mithyatva, and nidan. Nidan is desire, maya is deceit, and mithyatva is delusion. Okay. So 3 types of inner defilement.
These numbers are that Gatha number, no, sir? All this.
1 minute.
62, 63 and all they given is
These
Gatha
are
number,
Gatha
no?
number, Gatha number.
Okay.
So it's mentioned in the footnote, Maya, Mithyatva, Nidan, ये 3 shalya hai. Okay. So the monk who is endowed with the 3 jewels, right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct, and engages in discipline activities of mind, speech, and body across all 3 time periods, remains free from inner defilements. Now 65 and 66. Such a monk, okay. The soul, such a monk practicing austerities. Practicing austerities is the best of his ability. Such a monk practicing austerities to the best of his ability meditates on the pure soul and ultimately attains the supreme state. The soul that indulges in sensory pleasures and passions. The soul that indulges in sensory pleasures and passions exhibit violent activities. Okay. The soul that indulges in sensory pleasures and passions exhibit violent activities. Rodra Parinam, okay, is violent activities, and naturally engages in actions driven by violence and desires, for whom the conduct of ascetic does not appeal even in dreams, is ignorant and continues to wander in the worldly cycle. Okay. So those who know the right thing, they try to practice austerity to the best of his ability. But those who are not aware of their true nature, they indulge in sensually pleasures and passions, they exhibit violent activities and naturally engages in action driven by violence and desires, for whom the conduct of ascety does not appeal even in dreams, is ignorant and continues to wander in the worldly cycle. An ignorant being consumed by attachment and aversion towards external objects may destroy many karmas through intense austerities over countless lifetimes. So now the same thing that we studied in छह डाला, 40 वर्ष के तप तपे, है ना, और the knowledgeable one, the enlightened soul, can destroy those karmas in a moment. So that same is being adapted, Daulat Ramji Pandit ji adapted from this Ashtpaur. An ignorant being consumed by attachment and aversion toward external objects may destroy many karmas through intense austerities over countless lifetimes. However, a knowledgeable being destroys the same amount of karma in a very short time, lasting less than 48 minutes. So, the importance of a knowledgeable being is being described here. Okay. Any attachment, regardless of its nature, is the cause of bondage. So, any kind of attachment, whether it is of auspicious kind or inauspicious kind, is a cause of bondage. Therefore, even attachment to Bhagwan is also the cause of bondage and not liberation. Attachment being contrary to the true nature of the self is indeed undesirable and the cause of bondage. Okay. So up till this we have to mark out. Now tomorrow we will continue from here and we will finish this Ashtapahur. Then only we have one subject left, and that is Panch Kalyanak, that we will take up in next week. And then we will again begin the Tattvat Sutra chapter 1, which we want to repeat it again, so that we will do. Okay. Nij Nidhi. If you have any questions, we can take up. We still have 2-3 minutes time. Any questions? Okay. So,
Sir, I have a question. Sir, so when we said like, we should focus on one particular task on one at one given time. So, sir, does that mean like say with multitasking? Because this is what we do most of the times these days.
So
So with
actually,
multitasking,
we don't do multitasking, but it appears to me, it appears to us that we are doing multitasking. Because as a rule, your active consciousness can engage in one place at a time, right?
yeah.
So multitasking doesn't happen in the real sense. But that active consciousness keeps on rambling so rapidly that it seems that we are doing all things together. I'm driving the car also, and I'm talking on mobile phone also, and then I'm also
Yeah.
listening to the music that is being played in the car. It seems that we are all doing simultaneously. But a split of a second, your attention has gone to somewhere else and the accident will occur, because it never happens multitasking. At one time, our active consciousness can get engaged in one subject at a time. So, multitasking is not something that is in the real sense. But having said that, people are used to it. And if you are doing it, you just see that you will just realize that you are doing injustice to one of the tasks if you are multitasking. Either one will get spoiled and you have to redo it again. So it is heart and soul into it, so that whatever you do, the result comes out is of very superior quality. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Anything else? Okay. निज निधि निज में पताई, यह अनंत उपकार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना 7 बार है। उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना 7 बार है। 9 टाइम्स नमोकार मंत्र। बोलो दात सांगी जिनवाणी माता की जय।
जय।